podcast. I'm in Max. Pursuing the RPG hobby with reckless abandon.
Hello and welcome. This is the second try at a miniature painting stream. Very exciting. So this is Primed Time, which Rob thought of because he's super clever like that. I'm Kimmy. I am pretty new to painting, and I'm here with two very experienced painters.
I'm Jib, and I have been painting minis for,
Yeah, it's just as embarrassing for me as it
more years than I care to think about.
Tonight we're just this is our painting and bullshitting show. So we're pretty much going to talk about whatever we feel like. We might point out some techniques. They will point out some techniques. I will learn the techniques. And but for the most part, we're just going to be hanging out and talking about whatever we want. And if you have stuff in the chat room you want to talk about, that's great. This show is not going to be saved and published as a podcast because we don't really talk about anything meaningful. We might argue about movies or something for a while. It would be very entertaining. But that's all. So this is the only place to see this is streaming live right here. It's very
Exclusive
exciting.
content.
Exclusive content.
Yes.
And by the way, I'm Jim.
Yes.
And I will be painting a Stormcast Eternal Liberator today.
Nice. Here,
Cool.
hold them under the camera so they can see.
Sure, he's only primed, so you can't make out a lot of detail, but it's a nice dude with a hammer and shield.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah. And Jim, what makes you famous? How do we know you?
I am involved with Strategicon and am the supervisor of role-playing games, but amongst my various other hobbies is also miniatures painting.
Nice. Excellent.
Sweet.
That's a good hobby.
I think so. I find it very meditative.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's very, very zen.
Yeah.
You know, because I can sit down, I can just start painting minis, put some music on, and
I put some music on. I put, one of my background noise movies, like
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad. I love Suicide Squad, but I don't know. More like 13th Warrior. I think I play in the background a lot.
I love that movie.
I love 13th Warrior.
So good.
Ghostbusters, because
Yeah.
that was the first movie I owned on VHS, and I practically memorized it, so I don't really need to watch it. I can just listen to the whole thing, and it'll play in my head.
Nice. I have a bunch of those that I do, like sewing and cosplay work too.
Yep.
So tonight I am going to be doing a couple different things. I have tried the brushing technique, the priming technique that Jib talked about last time when we played. Let me see if you guys can see this one. So I was priming my minis totally black, but Jib, sorry, that's not going to get confusing at all.
Not at all.
But Jib suggested I do a brush coat of white on top of that before I start painting colors. So I did that. Look at that.
So whenever you want colors to really be bright and pop, that goes into the selection of your undercoat.
Right.
And a lot of people like doing that, and the reason why they like doing the black primer and then just sort of like brush some white on top of it is because the black in the background adds extra definition when you paint over the top and give you a natural gradient of change of color.
It adds extra depth, and you can also hide a multitude of sins that way.
Right.
Exactly. A lot of techniques that you'll find for these for painting minis are basically a way to just be sloppy and get away with it.
Right. And one of the things you have to decide when you're getting ready to start a mini is what is my viewing distance. You know, if I'm doing a mini to put on a table to be used in a game, it's a 3-foot distance. So that's where what I'm painting for is at 3-foot distance. So when I do that, I'm going to use a little bit stronger color contrast and a little bit bolder colors, and I'm not going to really sweat the details quite as much.
Right.
Right.
That makes sense.
Basically, what all you want at that point is a sort of 3D dimensionality effect. And one of the more important things about painting in general and getting your idea for colors is coming up with the points of contrast that you're going to have, because contrast is perhaps the most important thing that you could have on a mini, because that's what's going to actually bring out the shape and the definition of what you want to see. To me there's 3 levels of paint. There's the put 3 colors on it slop paint, which is not even really good for tabletop, but you can tell that somebody painted it and you can see the features of it.
Right.
Then there's tabletop ready, which is what Jib described, which is the average, what the average painter will or wargamer type will get to, which means that they look great on the field as you're playing. But when you pick it up, of course, there's certain levels of detail that you're not going to get.
Right.
And then there's competitive sort of level where you're
Right.
doing blending, you're doing shading, every single minute detail, every little rivet on everything is highlighted
Right.
and put in. And that takes hours and hours and hours to do.
And most of my minis tend to fall between the tabletop and the art piece
Right.
range, somewhere in between.
Our phones are blowing up, man.
I know.
I turned mine off just because, just
Because
out
you're
of
like,
out of respect
you're
for,
nice.
for the art form, you know.
Oh, right. Hint, hint, Jib. Respect for the art form.
Respect for the art form, man.
I have respect for the art form. I have a very nice shot glass that I paint my minis on top
That's
of.
awesome.
Yeah, there you go.
I think it's really important to have something to mount the mini on when you're working on it, so that you can hold on to it, but not be touching the areas where you're painting.
One of the changes that Games Workshop, which is the manufacturer of the mini that I'm painting right now, one of the great things that they've done is that they've, with the new editions of the game they put out, they made the bases much larger.
Oh, that's nice.
For everything. So since the base is so large and there's so much contactable surface on the base, with these bases I don't bother really to do that.
That makes
I can
sense.
see that, yeah.
But when I'm painting, if I were painting like an old 40K mini with the old like 22 millimeter, I believe it was, base with so tiny, there's nothing to hang on to. So a lot of times I either do exactly what you're doing, or I use a cork or a spindle or something, or a lot of times I have those little surgical clamps and I don't even base it, and with the little slot on the bottom of it, I just put it on the surgical clamp and I'm done.
Wine corks are good. Then they serve double duty because they give you an excuse to drink more wine, which
Yes.
we approve of.
We like that.
Who doesn't?
I found these spindles at. Can we see?
Yes. Or go here.
Okay. I found these spindles at a hobby store,
Down a little bit more.
and
There.
they're just wooden spindles. No idea what they were intended for, but I co-opted them for this purpose. I like them. They've got a little bit of heft to them. So.
Cool.
Yeah, I like things like that. Something that's slightly texturized. I don't like using glass because I find that if I get glue on my fingers, or if my hand gets slightly messed up or covered in stuff, I'll slip away from that.
Right.
I like something that's a little bit more texturized because I have dropped wet paint on carpet so many times that it staggers the imagination.
Right.
Alrighty, and we were gonna help you
Yes. So I have.
work on some flocking for your base.
Right.
Yay!
So I have my Desert of Despair mini, who I've been playing with. If you've been following that actual play, this is Risa. She's not in focus, but I'll try and make her in focus. Try there. Close enough. Pretty close. Anyway, so except I've never done, like he said, flocking before. So I did a pretty good job painting her, but then she's like next to these other minis on the board, like right here or here, and you're like, oh look, one of these things is not like the other. All these other people have great terrain, and she's walking on black obsidian. Looks a little weird.
Basing was the last thing that I actually caught on to, and I never really based my stuff until my friends started doing it, and I started seeing it more on the table and how much better it made the mini look. It's a small detail
It's
that
a
takes
small
some time.
thing, but it really, really helps the mini. Like, I did this one. Is that what I'm trying to do?
Yeah.
Okay. Did this one for Gina, for a character that she was playing,
Down a little more.
and
There.
this is probably one of the most involved bases I've done, because everything that you see here that's looks like stone and the skull and everything, I sculpted.
Nice.
Oh wow,
okay.
nice.
And pieced together with some pieces and made the base that way. But then the other side of that is here we have Gina's mini for our Desert of Despair game, and really all I've done is throw some grass on it. So
what is the grass made of?
the grass is made of, find the right tub. a couple of components. One of them, there it is. It's really just sawdust
Oh,
that's been dyed to a color.
interesting. Did you make that or buy that?
No, I bought this.
Okay.
Actually, what I did was I took 3 different kinds, colors of turf, and blended them together because it's kind of a powdery
I
substance.
see. Okay.
Okay. And then the other pieces of grass, the things that look like tufts, are these little guys
Oh, I see.
that you can buy.
They look like mold. Ew.
And you can also search for static grass, because the cool thing about that kind of stuff is that it has a mild static charge to it, and that will basically splay out the blades of grass when you put it down. So
Right.
you put it in with a little bit of tweezers sort of standing up, and it looks like a little growth of grass on the base.
Nifty.
And it's also, basing is just a great way to get extra bits that you found on your sprue if you have plastic minis,
Yep.
or old minis that are wrecked and you can put little pieces on. You can like put a severed head down or whatever.
Right.
It's just a great way to use extra little parts
Right.
to basically spruce up.
Cool.
And then if you want some really tufty grass,
Oh wow, that's like a wig almost. It's like extensions.
what we would do with this is we would glue it down in place and then trim it down to size.
Okay, so it's like crazy. Okay.
You can find all kinds of stuff that look like little teeny weeny maple leaves.
And here's the
There's
sawdust
all
stuff.
kinds of stuff that you can do, and there's a bunch of resin pre-made bases that you can buy that fit into the slot on the base that have like decks for ships if you're doing like a pirate
Oh.
game, so on and so forth. Or science fiction, like they have that diamond pattern sheet metal on the bottom.
And
That's
you
a lot of
can
neat
buy. Now you can go to your friendly local gaming store and spend a small fortune doing this.
Yes.
But now I'm going to give you a secret.
Okay.
Don't go to your friendly local gaming store for this.
Okay.
Go to a train store.
Oh. Oh, like a
Because they
miniature
sell-
train store?
For hobby people.
Like a train store. And the reason is they sell the exact same stuff, but because it's not labeled for
Oh.
gaming miniatures, it's about half the price.
Oh, nice. I didn't know
And
train
it's
stores
the
existed
exact
like that.
same stuff. Now, one word of warning, and for all you train folks out there, I apologize. I'm making a little bit of a joke here. Don't tell them why you want it.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like trying to find a venue for a wedding. Don't tell them it's a wedding; they'll double
Right.
the price.
Double the price.
Right. Well, train guys are train guys, and they care about trains.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you tell them I'm doing miniatures for a role playing game, they might not talk to you anymore.
Oh, I see.
Hobby
So-
elitists.
Hobby elitist.
Yes.
But the beauty of this is that the flocking is easy. It's going to take about 10 minutes to do the flocking for your mini.
Oh, nifty.
Because it's really simple. The big thing though is you have to decide how you want it done, what you want to do on it. Do you want like to look like a forest? Do you want like a desert? Because these characters are all in the desert. Do you want snow? Do you want rocks? What do you think you would like to have her standing in?
Well, she is a forest elf and a druid, but I did put her in kind of like brown autumnal colors because I wanted to break from the all elves wear green all the time stereotype. So something that will also go with those colors. I kind of like what you did here with Rob's mini.
Okay.
It's kind of like a mix of like this like turf and some grass. So I kind of like that, just to get so it has a little bit of contrast. So it's got some green and some brown in there, because I'm nothing if not a cosplayer, and I want things to go together.
Okay.
But that was just kind of my thought.
Cool.
If you have another like great
Nope.
idea,
Nope. Actually, that sounds good. So, what you want to do, because the base is just flat and featureless, we could, but we would have needed to have done it when
made the mini.
when you started the mini, because you'd put her in the base differently.
Yeah.
Sculpted up stuff around her and whatnot, using putty and things like that.
Okay.
But the fact that you didn't
Yeah.
does not hurt a thing.
Okay.
Okay. To give it a little bit of life, I might put like 1 or 2 pieces of stone,
Okay.
like back in the corner behind her,
Makes
just to
sense.
give a little something,
Yeah.
a little life to it, and that's ridiculously hard to do.
Are you being sarcastic?
Oh yeah.
Oh. Good. Yay. Yay, rock.
Go figure that.
We have little
Yay.
pieces of chipped slate,
Slate. Okay.
and you can buy these again at your friendly local gaming store.
Also,
for next to nothing.
terrarium rocks work great,
Terrarium rocks work really
and
well.
they're cheap.
Terrarium
I know.
shops are great sources for things to use for doing your terrain and whatnot.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because they'll have like little plants you can put in, all kinds of little miniature
Terrarium
stuff.
stuff. Okay.
All kinds of stuff. Yeah, kind of like cosplay. When you start doing minis and you start wanting to do a little more with
The
the
stuff.
mini,
Yeah.
it kind of follows the same path as doing cosplay, where it's like you're now in all kinds of different weird stores that don't seem to have anything to do with what you're doing, but they have stuff you want.
Yeah, you're in a hardware store and everybody sees 3S boxes and knobs and screws and stuff. I'm seeing completely different visions of what I can make out of that.
Right.
I mean, this small hobby of me, I started with Epic 40K, which is the game that had the Titans that usually stand in the 40K about 4 or 5 feet tall.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they're only like a few inches tall, so it's like massive armies. So little miniatures.
That's
I started
like
with that,
crazy.
and then we built a structure for a Corellian Corvette toy that we actually put on a stand that actually slid on
wow.
that stand across the table, and all the TIE fighters had to attack it from the sides.
That's awesome.
So actually, and we did that for con. That was super cool, and I'm in the middle of making an orc helicopter that looks like the little flying rings from The Incredibles.
Oh yeah.
Very
That's
cool.
awesome.
Because I always thought those things were super cool and orky, and they're basically giant buzzsaws. And what's more orky than just blades
Than a
flying around,
giant,
chopping
buzzsaw
heads off?
of death.
That's a good
Yeah,
point.
exactly.
I like it. So what you need to do is sift through the little bits of rock and figure out what you want and kind of lay them out on the base how you would like to have them.
Okay.
And then once you have that figured out, we're gonna set them aside. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's do the undercoat.
Okay.
Before we do that,
So
okay.
okay.
So
I
just
wrote
take the little pieces of rock that you have and set them in the lid so that we have them later. Pick your favorite shade of brown.
that one.
Burnt umber.
Okay.
I'm putting at the map. Who's there? All
Okay.
right. So you want me to make a mix of brown?
Right. Well, do you have the brown that you like, or would you have to mix it?
I would mix it. I've been mixing everything.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. You
You're
see
a
how
mixer.
the base forms kind of a lip?
I feel judged.
I'm gonna have a tip for you. That is gonna be awesome because when you mix paints, there's a thing you do. All right, sorry,
okay.
go ahead.
You see how there's a little lip around the base? Okay. You want to paint the entire
Inside of
area
that.
inside of that lip
Yeah.
brown.
I figured that.
It's very complicated.
Super complicated now. Even I know this. All right. Let's see.
But there's a thing called a wet palette, and all it is basically sort of like a little piece of Tupperware, a little rectangular piece of Tupperware that kind of looks like this box. And what it does is has a little sponge on it, and you fill it with water, and you put a palette paper on top of it. And when you mix colors, you put your colors on that palette, and the moisture from the sponge keeps that palette wet, so it
Oh.
never dries out.
Oh.
So, and it's airtight, so you seal it. So if you're working on a mini that has a specific color that you mixed, that you don't want to lose that color, you
That
can
makes
put it
sense.
on a wet palette and then keep on working the next day with it.
That's cool.
And not only that, but it keeps your paint really moist. So if you're doing blending effects and stuff like that, when you get a little bit more advanced, it's
Yeah.
really useful for doing that.
Yeah.
It's very handy.
Yeah. Super handy. I just have the cool little things I use. I use these for cosplay.
Oh, those are
things.
fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, they're not as
You
cool
have
as a
to
wet
have pots.
palace, but
No, I
They
mean,
at least-
I bought, you can actually buy these little tubes, like my paint comes in. If I can actually reach the camera. For about $24 for like a dozen.
we can actually move this up
of
so you
them.
can reach it better. That's probably a good idea.
Cool.
Oh, no.
And when you, I really like the droppers versus the
There you go.
sort of like the P3 or Games Workshop type of paints that come in the pot, because it allows me to control how much paint I'm putting on my palette more
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah.
I have paints from Citadel, from P3, from the same guys that you do.
Yeah.
I like different things about all of them. So I end up with paints from all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, until I got this new set, I've had paints
It's a very pretty set.
that I've had since
Yeah.
the '90s. You know, in those old Games Workshop pots.
Uh-huh.
There's some colors they don't make anymore that I bought like a bunch of them before they went out, or when I found them in like the land of forgotten toys type of game store. But those things are hard to mix. But what I love about the Vallejo colors is the fact that what makes a good model paint good is the how small the particulates are in the color in the solution. Because the smaller the particulates, the more smooth the color is going to be, and the less detail you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
And Vallejo colors are specifically formulated as Games Workshop and P3 colors for miniatures. Because if you try to go to like your hobby, your craft store and just buy acrylic paint,
Like Apple Barrel.
exactly,
Yeah.
super cheap, and you're going to get all the colors that you want. But that the paint is so thick that no matter how you water it down, because the particulates in there are not finely ground, that you're going to lose a ton of detail in your miniature.
So what you're saying here is the real answer is that you grind your own paint.
Grind your own paint. Yeah, just get a coffee grinder. Actually,
That would not get
You use a 3-cylinder stone grinder.
that's
I
advanced.
was an art major in college,
Oh,
and one of my art professors was like, "Yeah, no, you grind your own paint."
Wow.
Okay.
It's hardcore.
That's super hardcore.
Yeah.
But I in order to revive some old paints, because a few years ago, GW came out with a set of paints called foundation paints, and the ratio of liquid to pigment was shot through the roof. There's much more pigment in there than usual, and they were designed to be for you to create a base coat for your model. So you just do one coat. Usually, when you do a base coat with these, you do 2 thin coats. Because you want your color to be thick and deep and rich, but you don't want it to lose any detail. With these paints, you just put 1 coat, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
And I loved them. So I found an old set that at this game store, but after I bought it, I found that they'd all dried.
Oh.
So what I did is I just released all the basically the little cylinder of goop that was in there, and I literally put it in a blender with some airbrush thinning solution, and then let it sit, mix it up, and totally revive those paints.
Nice.
As long as the chemistry hasn't changed in acrylic paint and it hasn't actually completely dried out, you can usually reclaim it.
If it's still a little gummy, you're okay.
Yeah.
We got these little lights so we can see the minis while we're without messing with the studio lights too much. It's very handy.
Or hitting Stu in the head with lights.
Yeah.
Poor Stu.
He hit his head. We'll move it. We're still learning. It's all good.
You'll always be learning. That's the one thing that I really love about this hobby is that I've been at it for almost 25 years and I'm still picking up new things
Yeah.
and new techniques.
Well, it's funny because I was really into it like 10 years ago, like when I was younger. And I found a bunch of my minis and I was like, oh. And then started connecting with some other painters on Twitter. And I started actually watching mini painting streams when I started watching stuff on Twitch. And when we started streaming, I started watching stuff on Twitch more. And there's a bunch of really talented mini painters who sit there and they just stream mini painting.
They
all
are
day.
fantastic, and you know, you can pick up just about anything you'll ever need to know. I just up and bought an airbrush a couple of years ago. Just did it, and no clue what I was doing, but I just hit YouTube, and literally one of the best hobby purchases I've ever made. Because as a matter of fact, I'd probably be using it right now if I had it to base coat all these minis, because I'd be done in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But the cool thing, I also bought this little case, little box. It's lit, and it has a fan in the back and a filter.
Oh.
And it's enclosed.
To dry it.
And it has a little turntable inside. So you can just put it in there, and it sucks the air as you're airbrushing out the other side, like out a window.
Oh.
So you're not like just bathing in acrylic fumes, and it takes care of the smell, and my wife doesn't hate me as much.
That's awesome. I mean, all of those things are awesome, but
Yeah.
all of it.
One of my upcoming projects is a paint shaker.
Nice.
Paint
Like a thing
shaker?
that will
Shaker.
shake the paint.
Oh, okay.
So you can just put a bottle of paint in it, and it'll just shake it for you.
I feel like you could probably just buy a really super powered dildo and like get that same effect.
I have no knowledge of things.
I'm just saying.
Well, if you can't fix it with a dildo, I don't know if you can fix it
Right?
at all.
I don't know if we want to live in a
Yeah,
world
it's
that
just a
can't.
word.
In a world.
What are they going to do, dildo? Oh, okay.
Will you hand me, yeah, right?
Will I hand you a what?
Will you hand me one of the paper towels? Not that.
Wait, what?
This show is changing.
There we go. All right. Cool. All right, so I painted, you can see, let me see if you can see. So I painted the bottom. Ta-da. So now we're going to decorate it. I think like there's the sweet spot for the camera, like right there.
Cool.
Maybe a little farther. We're trying to figure it out. So she's down here with these guys.
Alrighty. So now what you want to do is, so let's let her dry a little bit, and then we'll finish her base.
Okay.
Mike James, who was on the podcast with me last time I was on Happy Jacks, the miniatures supervisor, had an entire army that he lived in Newport Beach with my other buddy Paul, and they just went out into the beach and with some of these food containers and just scooped up sand off the beach.
Yeah.
And then they used successively smaller hold sieves to basically sieve them out. So they had literally 4 different textures of sand that they just got for free. It was very creative.
That's super smart. There's been a couple mini painters I've watched that are like, I have mixed this from the dirt of 14 different vacations, and it's like the absolute perfect consistency, and it's like, wow. That's amazing.
And just like any fandom, the level of geek out that people will have, it's just amazing. Just go out and just do these amazing things just for the love of the hobby, which is great.
Some of the people who like paint for Reaper and whatnot, they do stuff that it just blows my mind.
Oh, you just go on Cool Mini or not, and I just nerdgasm at some of that stuff. It's just amazing, just the amount of detail. And when you have this like elf princess with these long flowing robes and everything, and there's like hand painted visions of dragons and unicorns and crap on it, and you're going, man, I wish I was that talented, but there's no way.
Right. So, like, just the level of detail.
Yeah, I mean, people will freehand do paintings on their model, and I just go, how? What?
Yeah.
Okay.
People are asking what type of paints I'm using. I think all of us, but specifically I'll start. I just started with the Reaper Bones, like, basic pack, because I started going through, and most of my paints from forever ago were pretty dry or crummy or whatever. So it came with some minis to paint. It came with a set of paints, and it's a cool little carry case. And then it has a bunch of more spaces where you can buy more paints. The thing that I noticed, it didn't have like a blue. So I went out and bought a blue and a purple, and then I forgot I bought purple, so I bought another purple.
We'll never have
you
too
need
much
purple.
purple.
Right? And then I bought some of the washes. I bought the Nun Oil wash, which is really good.
Nuln oil.
What is it?
Nuln, not none.
Oh, you're right. Nuln, you're right. Nuln oil. And then the Seraphim Sepia.
Yeah, those are 2 good choices. Asgrath Earthshade is also a great choice. Actually, Asgrath Earthshade by a lot of people is called Easy Button. And there are a lot of people out there that really kind of resent that particular wash because it takes techniques that took them years to learn, and you can just do it with a blip of a
What's that one called?
Asgrath Earthshade.
Earthshade.
Agrax Earthshade.
Oh,
there it is.
cool.
That's the gloss version. There's 2 versions of it. There's a gloss and a flat, but since I'm going to use it to highlight gold metal, I went with the gloss because it retains the metallic sheen.
Yeah. That's kind of like one of the things I'm kind of mixing with too right now, because like some people like you really prefer like the flat, finish to it, and some people the shiny, and I'm trying to figure out like what I prefer like as I'm experimenting with stuff. And for those asking, I got my Reaper Bones starter set on Amazon. It was like $30 or something like that. So it was actually a really good deal for all the paint.
And Reaper Bones is just such a great way to get some fairly good looking, very inexpensive miniatures to paint.
Yeah. I'm not super I'm not a super big fan of them.
No, they're not the best miniatures.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
No.
But for entry level,
Yes, they're good practice.
when you don't want to spend $25 on a resin model kit that's super cool looking, but you don't have the skill to match it. I started on old Ral Partha minis
still
from
have
the
some of
80s.
those.
I still have some of those too. And figured out what I was doing. When I figured out how to dry brush, it like changed my life. I'm like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing ever.
And right now, while I'm waiting for my druid elf to dry, I'm working on a bar wench who will be painted like a Merry Wife of Windsor eventually. I just painted her last night. I primed her and then did the white dry brush similar to this one to bring out her highlights like Jib taught me. And then I just did like a basic color base last night. So now I'm going to go through, do a little bit nicer job on all the base colors and then start adding details. Anyone who's ever seen the Merry Wives of Windsor perform at fair knows that our bodices have chevrons on them. So I'm going to learn how to paint straight lines too, which should be super, super exciting.
I have a mixed palette of paints from Citadel, P3, and Vallejo. I think I have probably every shade tone that Citadel offers in here.
It's a lot.
And I also use, and this is something that I have gotten into lately, is using what are called inks. And what inks do that I think is really cool is they cover really well, and they stay mixable on the...
I also have these acrylic inks that I use as well. I have a full set of these that I bought at an art store. And just like Jib said, it makes things, it sticks so nicely. But there are three principal things that I love about using inks. One, they stick so nicely, like they're fantastic, and they dry almost instantly. Two, they work a lot like washes in the fact that they will creep into the recesses of the model and not so much at the top if you water them down right. So you can use them a lot like washes and giving yourself a lot more variance of color. And three, I like mixing them with a tone of paint with a little bit of water, which is what I did with this gold. And if you'll look at it right there, that's the base gold that I'm doing. Now that's this sort of copper shape, copper shade here, with the burnt umber ink that turned into this color. Now the cool thing about that, it's going to be a couple of shades darker than the original color. It went on really smooth, if as you can see, because it watered it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And then when I go over with the base color, as I do a highlight, it's already going to be a shade darker than the base color. So I'm already creating sort of a base of depth of color as I'm bringing it out. So what you're doing is you go dark at the bottom and just bring the light colors up towards the edge of things that are raised. And I do that almost every single time I paint. I mix it with a little bit of ink just to deepen it a little bit. And I find that it makes the paint dry a little faster.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah. Forgot to post on Twitter that we were doing this.
You guys watching The Expanse?
Oh, yeah.
Holy crap, is that a good show. Have you read the books?
Yep.
I
Well,
read the books. I haven't watched the
I'm
show.
part of the way through the books.
Yeah, same here. I'm book 3 right now. But man, what an amazing show. That's like such good sci-fi.
Yep.
They did such a great job of casting it, it seems.
I agree.
Just nailed it.
I don't know. The Holden character is a little bit different than I had him in my mind's eye on the show, but
But he works.
But he works. Well, the thing is, at his core, he's sort of like this sort of contrast between the idealist and the pragmatist, and you see that come through in the character of having to make the hard choices. But when they start going, you know what, doing shitty things gets easier every time you do it.
That's true.
And
yes.
I love that sort of like moral ambiguity of that show. It's really of the books, of the characters in general.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about that series of books, is because nothing is ever one-sided, and no matter what you do, good, bad, or indifferent, it has ramifications.
Positive and negative.
Right.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, no problem. Someone earlier in the chat, after I talked about my bar wench mini, asked me what a bodice is and what a chevron is.
Oh.
So a bodice is, if you go to the Renaissance Fair, it's basically like the vest-like thing that women wear. It's sort of like a corset, but it's like the grandfather of the corset. So it's like an earlier thing, and it's got like straps here, and it's really tight, and you lace it up. Women wear it, and it's got like structure to it, like a corset, so it can like bring your waist in. And a chevron is a shape that goes like this. It looks like a V.
A chevron looks sergeant stripes are chevrons.
Yes, exactly. So your corset or the bodice kind of gives you a little bit of a V shape anyway. So then we sewed fabric that had like that V shapes in it too. So that was kind of like our signature look.
And I am using exclusively Vallejo paints.
Mm-hmm.
I actually bought 2 sets of these paints, the entire color line.
Mm-hmm.
I bought the basic one, which I'm using now, and then there's the Vallejo Air that are intended to be used with airbrushes that are specially formulated for that.
Nifty.
I find that these colors are just excellent, and they come in the container I like. They're really good for minis. I used to be sort of an exclusive GW paint guy because those were pretty much the only paints that you could readily get that were intended for miniatures, just about any store that you went to. And then I tried some P3 paints, and actually P3 paints are made by the same manufacturer that made paints for GW back in the early 90s,
Mm-hmm.
which is why they have the exact same bottle pot. So they're exactly the same manufacturer type of.
What's a bottle pot?
Bottle pot.
Is that like the bottle?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
like
okay.
the little that little thing that has a little
okay.
cap on it.
So it's like, instead of like a regular one, it's like these things.
Yeah. So it's intended for you to dip your brush into and pull the paint out of, instead of the eyedropper, which is intended for you to put onto a palette.
Okay. Fancy. So this is going to shock you guys, but I got into an argument with someone online about Wonder Woman. Sure, that's like
I'm shocked.
shocking, right?
I mean that movie that's being horribly underpromoted.
Right? It is.
It looks like a good movie. Why? I don't get
I
it.
don't know.
No,
I really
yeah. I mean,
get it.
that's what he said. He was like dissing on it, and I'm like, okay, like, yeah, you can't do that yet. You can't do that yet because he's like, everything about it has sucked. I'm like, okay, I have to disagree with you. While every DC movie has not been good so far, and even though I'm not actually letting myself get my hopes up about it, I have been super impressed with all the promotions and the trailers for Wonder Woman so far. Like, exceedingly impressed.
The way I look at it too is also, if you watch it, when you watch Superman v Batman, I mean, she was really sort of like the shining light of that entire movie.
She was, yeah.
I mean, seriously, that little smirk she had when she got smacked real hard by.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like, oh, finally a challenge, and she just gets back up and runs into the fight again. I'm like, I'm at half mast.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, and the trailers that have come out, the one that's starts out with her in her homeland and is narrated by her mother, is just incredible. Like,
Yeah.
they just nailed
Well,
every
casting
second
for
of it.
Hippolyta was fantastic, I thought.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, so perfect. All the Amazons are looking really amazing, and their whole culture, I love that it looks like it's pulled straight out of like George Perez's version of it. It's just like perfect. It's so beautiful. So it's really exciting to me to kind of see all that coming together. So people are like, I love Superman versus Batman.
I liked it.
I didn't hate it.
Yeah, that's a good way. I didn't hate it.
Okay.
I've never been a Superman fan.
Right.
Same here.
So you're Zack Snyder.
And the reason for that, and they kind of addressed this in the more recent Superman movies, is I've never really been able to wrap my brain around why he would care. I know he does. It just never has really hooked up with me why. I mean, I know he was raised in Kansas, but
Well, that also goes into the nature versus nurture type of thing, and but really, I've never been just super fan of Mr. Invulnerable. Wherein half of the writing is basically figuring out what can hurt this guy. That gets a little bit under my skin. I require my heroes to have a little bit of vulnerability.
right.
Although I'm not saying that Superman's doesn't have instances where he's vulnerable, but the godlike level of power that needs to exist for him to feel vulnerable is
right. The cosmic superheroes subgenre is not really my thing personally.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Well, I'm a big Green Lantern fan. That's my guy, and that sort of goes into that cosmic hero sort of thing. But the reason why, as a child, I was always attracted to that particular superhero is the fact that his power required creativity.
Right.
And the fact that his power wasn't supreme. It was actually, it was extremely powerful, and he could do a lot of things, but it had some pretty severe limitations, as in, the ring would run out of power, or the ring had vulnerabilities. And when Jeff Johns changed it to the whole thing of it's a manifestation of willpower, and they added the different other cores of Green Lanterns, I thought that was just brilliant.
Yeah, no, I loved that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, because you've got the Trinity for DC.
Indeed.
And the interesting thing about them is that Superman is the human one. Like, he is the most human, even though he's an alien, and actually the only one not really from Earth. Because you've got Diana, who's actually the alien. She's from, like, a totally separate culture. She's from a whole different world, basically. You've got Bruce, who he doesn't have his humanity any longer. He puts on his humanity. Bruce Wayne is the mask, basically.
Yeah, his humanity is a farce.
Yeah. So
he's a sociopath.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
He's disconnected from humanity.
Right. So he loses his humanity, even though he is physically just a man. He is not as human as Superman is. And then Superman is the opposite, where he is Clark Kent, who puts on Superman to do what Clark Kent cannot. And that's really his vulnerability, is that he cares.
That's actually a very unique perspective, because every single time that I've thought about or read about or any type of intersection with that, it was the Trinity was basically Superman as God, Batman as man, and Wonder Woman as nature. As those are basically the archetypes that they're supposed to individually represent.
Yeah.
But I really do see your point a lot about Superman being perhaps more, in essence, human than Batman.
Absolutely.
And the fact that he actually involves himself in the function of humanity more than, he just plays at being a person.
Right. No.
It's like this two-dimensional shell of a man that's this playboy that that's what everybody expects him to be.
So that he is able to do what he really is.
Exactly, to be the cover. You want to make your alter ego based almost exactly the opposite of you. So
right.
So a pair of glasses can fool everybody.
Exactly, and so that's kind of
Superman.
Superman.
Lex Luthor.
That's sort of Superman's Achilles heel. I mean, they gave him kryptonite too, but the fact that he is underneath it all, this guy from small town Kansas who's like more Boy Scout than anybody. Like, he doesn't want to hurt people. He doesn't want to. He can be driven to it, and depending on who's riding him, they do better or worse jobs of making that something you buy.
Right.
Which I think is like the real culprit there.
But that's the issue. That was the main issue with Superman v. Batman, was the fact that Superman wasn't very Superman-y.
Exactly.
And in that, actually, I think kryptonite be damned. I think the ultimate vulnerability of Superman is the fact that he cares so much about the people that he loves. And that is such an effective weapon for your enemies. But it's also a magnificent source of strength, because, without Lois and Jimmy and all those people that care about him, that keep him grounded in his humanity, he would lose his shit.
Exactly.
Which, when Lois gets killed in the alternate universe of Injustice, Gods Among Us, that's what causes Superman to lose his shit, and I think that's where they're going with that whole DC angle.
Yeah.
You see it a lot, and it's like it's all about her.
And Zack Snyder has very much said that he doesn't like Superman.
Yeah.
And he's flat out said it multiple times. And that's the thing, is you can tell because he doesn't really get him. And a lot of people don't necessarily love Superman as the number one because he can be, it's hard to write him well. And most people don't. But you have to still, it's obvious he doesn't connect with Superman being human. Because he's not human. And Man of Steel. Oh my God, I was in the theater. I was ready to stand up and scream at the thing when Clark, spoilers, if you haven't watched Man of Steel yet, you're screwed.
Okay, this movie's what, 4 years old?
Right.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it, you're not going to, so you don't care.
Yeah. But, Clark saves that bus full of kids, and then Jonathan Kent gets mad at him and is and he's like, well, what should I have done, Dad? Should I let it go? And then Jonathan Kent says, maybe, yeah. I was ready to throw shit at the screen, and I don't usually care that much.
Yeah.
But because that's really, that is the backbone of Superman and Clark Kent, is Martha and Jonathan Kent and the way they raised him. Even at your own expense, you do the right thing. And, it may not be something that's super relatable, but it's something that I think is unique among superheroes in many ways.
Right.
Because so many superheroes have oh my God, we always make jokes with RPG characters of, I have no family, blah, blah, blah. It's vengeance driven or whatever. Superman literally was raised in a perfect little community that he just wants to make everything perfect. Which is kind of an interesting backwards angle and is very kind of different than a lot of heroes and hero arcs.
Well, you also got to understand, Superman was the real first superhero of all time. He is the genesis of the concept.
Right.
I mean, of course, things like the old pulp heroes, like Conan and so on and so forth, were sort of inspirational in that. And the amazing stories and those kind of magazines were definitely formative in the people that created it. But he is the seminal superhero. He was the first idea of having this guy that could just do all this stuff. And, a couple of skinny, picked-on Jewish kids from New York made him up.
Yeah.
And he is sort of that alter ego for every kid that's been beat up and or watches his friends get beat up or pantsed or whatever happens, just wanting to do something about it and wanting to be invincible,
Yeah.
I guess,
Well,
but
it grows out of the desire that we all have, and it's the desire that drives us to play role-playing games, and that is you want to be the guy who can stand up and fight back,
exactly.
who can make things right.
You want to be the cowboy that rolls into town and takes care of the bad guys and then rides away into the sunset.
Right.
And that's a very American thing. And
It is. It's a very American
well,
thing.
comic books in general are very, very,
Very
American subculture.
Yeah.
But if you look at, I'm actually really excited about that Valerian movie being made. That's the graphic novel or comic, the French comic that was inspirational to so many things like Star Wars and all of the stuff a lot of the stuff that we sort of take for granted as part of our pop culture. I mean, if you look at some of the panels in that book, you'll see Princess Leia's slave outfit. It's there. I mean, they just literally pulled it off the page. There's so many elements of it, and I'm really excited to see the guy who did Fifth Element make that movie. I think it's going to be very visually awesome. Let's just hope the story is good.
Is good too, yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
In the trailers, the characters look fun too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really looking forward to that movie.
Yeah. I was watching the Justice League trailer recently again, and it's just already a clusterfuck. I already am and I know almost everything about all of these characters, and I'm sitting there going, I have no idea how they're going to fit this much stuff into one movie. I have no idea what they're doing.
Honestly, we asked that question too when Avengers came out, but it's not Joss. But
right. Well, and the thing is Avengers had many movies to introduce some of the characters, so they were still introducing a couple characters. This one has a ton of characters they're starting to introduce.
Yeah, you'd figure they'd put out an Aquaman movie before they put out a Justice League movie
or something. Yeah.
Well, or don't worry about his origin story. Don't worry about it. Let it go. Let it ride.
That's one of the things that I love about the new Spider-Man is the fact that we're not going to see another goddamn origin story.
Right.
I'm so sick of seeing Spider-Man's origin story.
Oh my God. Just like
I don't need to see Uncle Ben die again.
Yeah.
I don't. I get it. I'm there.
Yeah.
I don't need to see Batman's parents die again.
Yeah.
I don't need to see Uncle Ben die again.
Well, I'm still waiting for them to do a movie about Batman.
Right. They haven't done enough.
Well, no, they haven't done a movie about Batman yet. They've done movies about all the Batman villains, but not a movie actually about Batman yet.
Oh, they'll throw 3 or 4 at you at a time, which is always fun. I always wonder why the heck they do that.
I don't know if I agree with you. Explain more what you.
Who are you asking to explain? Me or
you?
Because to date, in my opinion, from a character standpoint, the villains have been much more powerful, more dynamic characters than.
Right, but that's true of like all movies usually.
Well, the Joker is far more colorful a character to portray, and there's a lot more leeway than the Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is the Dark Knight.
Well, and because we've all heard that story so many times.
What they need to do is actually write a script that delves into Batman's psychology. That's where they need to go to get a movie that, in my opinion, is actually about Batman.
Yeah, but the problem with that is then it's not really it's not a comic then.
I think, there's the whole period of time when he was insane.
Right.
So I mean, I get your point.
Yeah, because I mean, you want to see, like some not just. I mean, you want to see conflict with any superhero. You want to see the fights, so you have to find a way to do that. I feel like I love like the very first Batman movies. I love those, and then I really like the Nolan Batmans. There's a lot of inconsistencies with them in the comics, but I think they did a pretty good job, at least on the first one. I really like how they adapted it.
I think they made some smart choices in it.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think that the second movie with Heath Ledger as the Joker is
good.
probably one of the finest superhero movies.
I would agree.
And then the last one was terrible. But
yeah, the last one was not great.
No, it was so bad.
Although I loved the Batjet. I thought it was cool looking.
Yeah.
I very much like Tom Hardy as Bane.
Yeah, I love the direction he went with it too. So original.
Yeah, I hated that Bane.
Liked it.
Yeah, I hated that Bane ended up being just like a hired.
A stoolie?
Yeah, I was like, oh, he
not
did,
a stoolie, but a flunky.
exactly.
So,
and you're like, oh god. And then Talia is like one of my favorites, and then they just kind of like threw it in there. You're just like, that could have been better.
Alrighty,
All right.
time to do the thing.
All right, so now I've painted my base, and I'm going back to my druid.
Because it's all about that base.
All about the base. No treble. Okay. So now I'm picking
Now what you need to do
rocks.
is just put her down and figure out where you want to put the rocks.
Okay.
Do you want the rocks to be in front of her? Do you want the rocks to be behind her?
Okay, there's a little hole there. Should I cover the hole with a rock, probably?
Doesn't hurt.
Okay.
I hit him with a rock.
Right?
It was a big rock.
Totally.
I got a rock.
It's my favorite episode of Batman, the animated series, is when the villains are basically talking about how to kill Batman.
God. Oh, yeah. My father-in-law composed the music for that episode.
Holy Christ. Just when I thought you couldn't get any cooler.
Right? So exciting. Almost Got Him is that episode when they're all playing poker.
Love that episode. Actually, I love that whole series. I binge-watched that a few weekends ago when I discovered it was on Amazon Prime.
So good. I watch it all the time.
I don't know about you guys, but we like binge watch everything.
Yeah.
It's like we'll let things stack up, and it's like we'll power through, a dozen episodes of something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I one of the things that I hate is incomplete narratives. It drives me nuts. and if I walk away from it, it'll start haunting me.
Yeah.
If I'm really, really into it. I need to watch Ash versus the Evil Dead. I haven't watched that yet.
What?
I haven't watched it yet.
It's pretty fun. they did a pretty fair job with the spirit of Evil Dead.
Well, all the original players are
Army
there,
of
you know,
Darkness.
so it's really cool. Army of Darkness is one of my favorite movies from childhood. I love that movie.
It's you know,
Hilarious.
such a great campy,
Exactly.
you know.
Just fun adventure romp, and you can't beat what's his face. Why can't I remember his name?
Bruce Campbell?
Bruce Campbell is just so fantastic.
Yep.
When he was on Nerdist, he was just so funny on the Nerdist podcast. It's just genial and fun and going and just like straightforward, just like what the hell do you care about that for? You know?
He was, in my opinion, the best part of Burn Notice.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
No, I bought like a couple of seasons of that show on DVD just because I loved him so much in it, playing sort of that sort of, not really a loser, but kind of like this womanizing drunkard. Just
All right.
he was built.
Once
for that.
you figure out where you want to put the rocks,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you need to take them off and set them aside, like either in the tray or
Mm-hmm.
something where you can get to them.
Okay.
Because what we're going to do
Mm-hmm.
is we're going to use our old friend super glue.
Yay!
Yay, super glue. I'm still
And-
figuring out where I want them. Sorry.
Okay. And all you're going to do is put a drop of super glue, set the little where you want the rock, set the rock down in place. Don't touch it again, and let it dry. Then it'll dry in 5 minutes or so, and then we'll finish your base.
Okay. I like that. That seems like a good configuration.
Okay. Set them off to the side.
I might want one more rock.
That's fine.
Waiting for washes to dry. Yay!
I got the waiting for washes to dry blues.
I do. It's my worst blues. I should have brought a second set of models to work on. Because usually what I do is I rotate.
Yeah.
I do like process on a group, and when I'm waiting for the wash to dry, I move on to the second one, base coat it, and then when that washes dry, then it's usually done with the base coat and just rotate.
Color's looking really good from over here.
Thank you. That's
Getting
that is just the base coat with the Agarath Earth shade on it.
A little closer?
A little bit closer.
There you go.
And I got to clean this up because it's pooled a little.
Yeah.
Right here.
There, that's better. There you go.
There we
Perfect.
go. See at the bottom of the shield how it's pooled? I got to take care of that. But that's the only real hazard with washes is making sure that they don't pool incorrectly. Because they will. If you let
incorrectly
them,
being the operative word.
Yes.
You want them to pool the way you want them to pool.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm in charge, you fucker.
All right, paint.
All right, paint. She can show you who's boss.
All right. So then I just glue them.
Right.
Okay.
Just glue them down where you want 'em.
Yay, glue. Glue is my friend. Do you recommend any specific types of super glue?
Any kind of super glue will do.
Okay.
There are varying thickness and thinnesses of super
Yes.
glue that are good for different applications.
I figured that any super glue is too simple of an answer to actually be true. So.
Indeed.
Well, like as Jim was saying, there are varying thicknesses of it, and when you inevitably have the problem of you have a gap that you have to fill, super glue will not be your friend in this moment. But there is a way to make it do it, and that is to have a little bit of baking soda handy, and sprinkle baking soda into the gap, and then just a drop of super glue in it.
Yeah.
And it'll fill the gap.
Also, there's this stuff called liquid green stuff. That's
literally what it's called, liquid green
liquid
stuff.
green stuff. Green stuff, which is that stuff, which
Liquid
is
green stuff.
perfect for filling gaps.
Yeah.
Green stuff, usually, what green stuff, the solid green stuff looks like is like this sort of thing where you have a blue and a yellow, and it's an epoxy, and you mix them together and it'll harden over
Oh,
time.
yeah.
But that is a liquid form of something very similar to that.
That's what I
got
did
it.
all of the sculpting on the bases that I did the sculpting on. Now, some of these pieces are purchased, like on this mini, some of the base work,
Put it down
like
just a little bit.
the sword
There you go.
is a base component that I bought. It's a resin cast piece,
Oh.
and I just glued it down and sculpted in around it to make it look cohesive, and then put a rock in it and drop some, painted it up the way I wanted it, and then dropped some turf on it, and done.
Citadel or Games Workshop is also producing these pots of, paint, but they're texturized thick paint that
There's
are
the
designed
rocks
for
that
you
I
to
put
go
out.
on the
Just
base.
drop it and break it. It's
There
going to
you
be great.
go. It's all right.
There's
You
rocks.
can always fix it.
I put rocks on the base.
And they have different stuff like that. It'll texturize for sand. It'll texturize for different things. They have different formulas for it. So it's a really neat new product. It makes basing a lot simpler. But it's a lot more expensive.
You've already done the hard part of your base, by the way.
Yeah. I glued rocks on a thing.
Victory.
Triomphe, gimme.
Triumph.
So, yeah, as a cosplayer, I'm pretty good at super gluing stuff. It's a thing. I do.
Super glue is your friend.
It is.
And does everybody know what super glue was originally invented for?
Surgically closing wounds? I believe?
Exactly.
Yes.
That's one reason why I keep a little bottle of it
All
with
the time.
me pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
Is
In case you have a giant gaping wound that needs to be closed.
actually in case I come upon someone who has one.
Hey, Stu.
Yeah, I could have fixed you right up.
Yeah.
Here, we're going to glue you down. Here, hold on.
That'd be
Hold
fine.
still.
Thing is, you don't really want to put super glue on a wound on somebody who's conscious, because that shit hurts like a motherfucker.
Burns. It burns.
Yes.
Oh,
Once again,
man.
my buddy Mike, who was on the podcast last time I was on, did the foolish mistake of falling asleep while we were playing role-playing games till 4 o'clock in the morning. And he fell asleep with his arms, with his fingers clasped together like that on his
no.
chest. He was asleep
Super
like
glued
that.
them together, didn't you?
And I went to my friend James and I went, I'll super glue his fingers together if you give me $1. And he just goes and he slaps the dollar on the table and I'm like, $1's been
right.
paid. So I go there and I super glue his fingers.
You fuckers.
Nice. That's
Memo to
amazing.
self,
Yeah.
never fall asleep while Jim's around.
Right?
No, him and my other buddy Kay are notorious for just falling asleep in the middle of games all the time. They're one of those people who will just, if the action isn't hot and heavy, they'll just
That's so
snooze
annoying.
off. So it just gets on my nerves. So
Yeah.
that's really why.
I can understand that.
I mean, I can, yeah. I mean,
focus up or go. It's fine. You know, you don't have to be here. It's okay.
Yeah.
I have in years past done Maori tattoos and Sharpie on someone's face when they were asleep.
No, the thing is, he offered me another $1 to zip kick it, and I almost did it if he didn't stop me. That probably would have ripped flesh from his
Yeah,
hands.
that would have been bad.
So that would
Yeah,
have been
that would
bad.
have been bad.
But you know, that was my 20s, so yeah.
Whatever.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? I was an idiot. I would never even consider doing something like
Okay,
that.
you said you were in your 20s. That was saying the same thing as saying you were an idiot.
Yeah, I concur.
So I have 5 children all in their 20s right now.
We couldn't tell. Yeah, I mean, I try and be understanding sometimes, like, you know, sometimes a game, like, especially after someone's worked all day and stuff like that, but it's really fucking annoying.
I did fall asleep in a Kurt Hanna game at a con once.
Oh, yeah.
But it was an 8 to 12 game
Oh, yeah.
on a Sunday.
That's different.
And, okay, I don't know about you guys. I know, I'm sure you probably fall in a similar or worse category. I'm lucky to get 3 hours sleep a night at a con.
Wow.
Until very recently, when I sort of really kind of reprioritized some things, and I just can't do that anymore.
Right.
I just can't.
Well,
And not function the next day and not be, you know, a general jackass. If I was just there as a convention goer, I really probably wouldn't care. I'd just
Right.
keep going.
That's
But
different.
you know,
But you
I
were
can't go
actually-
calling a client an a-hole.
No. Now that you are the face of the con.
Yeah. So when I have staff or whatever on my badge, I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
guess people will judge me differently.
Yeah, they do, and they totally do.
they will. But no, we, because, you know, I'm usually up to run a game by 9.
Yeah.
And so then I'm running or playing games and hang out,
Yeah, I get that too.
We used to do that.
which is fun, and I wouldn't trade it. But it does mean that, you know, yours truly is not getting much sleep.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I have to be up at 7 to make sure that all my stuff at 8 is
All set.
ready to go.
Yeah.
Right.
Because although I trust my volunteers a lot, I'm sort of like
You need to be
I guess
hands-on.
paranoid about it. But yeah, and there have been a couple of times that I'm glad I was.
Yeah.
But
Well, there's
Nonetheless.
trusting and then there's trusting.
exactly.
Right. You still have to be there to manage and troubleshoot in case anything happens, because things happen.
Yeah. Well, just and now that I have that binder rotation out, it's a little bit.
That's
more,
better, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Of course I trust you. That doesn't mean I'm not going to be lurking over your shoulder watching everything you're doing.
Exactly.
I
you
still
know,
have to think of my game for Strategicon. I haven't done it yet.
You have till Cinco de Mayo, my love.
I know. Day after tomorrow. I have to remember I made a special skirt to wear for tomorrow. Star Wars skirt.
What you should do is just Kimmy's game. It's going to be Kimmy.
That's what
and there's some stuff going on, and you're going to be there and have fun.
I've done that like at 3 cons now.
And then you can just email me. I need to change my setting to actually be what it's going to be.
I never do. Then they show up and they just don't know. It's like Kimmy's really awesome Wild Talents game was one thing I registered one time.
Yeah.
It's like, it'll be awesome. I don't have an idea yet, but it'll be in Wild Towns and it'll be fun.
I spend a lot of effort writing the descriptions for the games I'm going to run.
Yeah.
And I am fairly sure that nobody reads them.
Yeah.
No, actually, I think they're kind of
do.
the ad for your game.
Yeah, they really do pay attention.
Yeah, especially when people are just sort in there going, oh, I wonder what game I can get in, and just sort of like cursorily looking at them. That's the stuff that's going to catch their eye.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it does actually make a very big difference.
Well, I hope so. I just want to put up a game that someone's going to enjoy playing it.
I've never played in a game of yours that I did not enjoy.
There you go.
Actually, I think you're one of the better Fate GMs in the entire convention.
Thank you.
I can see that, yeah.
I'm actually running Fate.
Plug.
This time. I'm doing a game called The Wizard's First Rule, which is a modern day Wizards
Okay, cool. So
kind of game.
Dresden or Potter?
Dresden-ish, but not Dresden.
Right. I'm just going with like flavor of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's the aim is a little darker.
Yeah.
It's
Somebody's running Dresden Accelerated too.
that'd be fun.
Have you read through that? Have you seen it? I just have the original Fate.
No, I have
Why
not,
not?
because I don't think those books have actually come out from the Kickstarter yet.
Yeah, but you're like one of those guys that are in the know,
got the-
so
yeah.
that's why. The
No,
inside scoop.
I haven't gotten them.
We like to make people think that that's actually not. We don't actually know
Don't
anything about romance
bust
games.
Jib's mystique. He has a mystique. Gosh
He does.
darn it!
I know, I'm sorry. I ruined it.
I got nothing.
I'll just email Mike Olson. He probably knows.
Yeah, Olsen will know.
Which is crazy because we both discovered last con that we both did Drum and Bugle Corps the same year,
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool.
but for different groups.
He is still really into Drum and Bugle Corps,
He totally is. We spent like almost an hour talking about Drum and Bugle Corps.
which is very cool, I think.
Yeah, it's super awesome. I loved it. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life.
I played lead guitar for the marching band in my high school.
So you were that guy. Okay.
I was that guy.
I played baritone
I was
saxophone
that
for my marching band. Baritone saxophone
Nice.
and some sousaphone.
I was ironically not into music when I was in high school. Didn't play any instruments or anything.
It's almost as if I looked for everything that I could do to make myself an outcast in high school and did it. It sort of was my plan.
Well-
I don't think it was fully conscious, but
You know what I
That's
wanted
where
out
I
of
was
high
at.
school? To
What
be
do you-
out of high school.
word.
I think it's awesome when people, just loved high school and had a great time and thought it was the best thing ever, and good on you. I can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, to each their own. I'm not saying that my high school experience was bad, because far from it. It wasn't actually bad at all. I had a lot of friends and enjoyed myself quite a bit. It's just the intense amount of hatred that I had for other people in a broad sense was not, well, young sociopath, I suppose. I don't know. But outside of the 5 people that I
healthy.
liked, I like, fuck you, I don't even want to talk to you. Just antisocial.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was right there.
My mom taught at my high school, so that was like a special kind of hell.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And yeah.
Wasn't Hoover's dad like the vice principal at his high school or something?
Yeah, that's even worse. Yeah.
Yipes.
My mom was like the teacher though that like everybody loved. She was the drama teacher, so like she was the teacher like everybody was like friends with, kind of.
Right.
So it's like when I was
The approachable teacher.
Yeah, the approachable teacher that they all liked.
Your mom's so cool. I love your mom. And you're going, yeah, you don't have to deal with it.
Yeah. And I have a cool mom. My mom is awesome. But it's also like one of these things where it's like they would want to let her know when I was doing something I wasn't supposed to do because they thought that they were like her friend and helping. God damn, it was really awful.
You need to make better friends with them than you are with your
Right?
mom.
Oh man, it was awful. I remember one time, because for a while we had some boundary issues with me going to her high school. And I was kissing my boyfriend, who I wasn't supposed to have, in the hall. And then I get to my next class, and like the telephone rings in the classroom. My teacher picks it up and is like, "Oh, Kimmy, your mom wants to talk to you." I go up in the front of the class, and my mom bitches me out about kissing a boy at school.
In class.
In class, on the school phone. I'm like, shouldn't you be teaching right now? They're fine. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, Mom, I should be doing math right now. Like, I really need to go do math. It's just craziness.
Yeah.
Eventually got better.
My mom, my beautiful, lovely mom. So I'm sort of zero generation. I was actually born in South America, in Chile. And my mom was born in Andalusia, Spain. So we were a household of foreigners and Hispanic foreigners that didn't know what a tortilla was. That's we were like a different flavor of Hispanic. So but my mom, when she was an orphan and raised in a nunnery, and when she got out, the only thing she knew how to do was to sew. That's the only real marketable skill they taught her. So she had her own little shop, and she would make custom clothes and do all kinds of stuff. Actually, the embroidery for the flag in the main plaza was embroidered by her.
Oh, wow.
But when we came to this country, and of course, things being what they were, she would make a lot of my clothing. Now, that's all great and all, but she had a very odd sense of style in that she liked to buy these like strange European fashion magazines. And well, let's just say I looked like a retard out of Star Trek almost all the time, with these like straight weird flared jackets and just straight up just weirdness, things that were just going to get me beat up. And that was basically what happened. Was my mom would dress me up in these weird sort of Euro trash weird clothes, and everybody just come look at me. And then my mom goes, "How come you always lose your jackets?" "I don't know, Mom. Maybe I'm just forgetful. I can't tell you." But the jackets were getting me beat up, and I didn't have the heart to tell her.
Right. Yeah, that's the hardest thing is like you don't...
It's like, you made this with all your love, and I really appreciate it, and I'm really not that kind of butthole, but really it's just causing me a lot of trouble, and I'll wear this when we go out together, but can I not wear this to school, please?
Yeah. Oh, that's so hard.
Yep.
Oof. All right. I'm trying to layer the whites a little bit so that there's like some depth there. I don't want it just to be like straight, stark white.
I always like to go in with a very light gray underneath my white, because you get a little bit better coverage with the gray. And it's usually a nice subtle contrast with the white that you put on.
That's a good idea.
I agree, unless I'm doing a fantasy mini, and then I go with like an ivory.
That's kind of what I've done.
Instead.
Yeah.
Or a bleach bone type of color.
Or a bleach bone kind of thing. And then what I normally do is I'll do the bleach bone, and then I'll highlight it just in tiny little spots with pure white, and then go over it with a sienna wash, and then in little bitty dark spots like an Agrax Earthshade wash.
Yeah.
To get that kind of medieval feel to it.
But to be completely honest, black and white, just stark on its own, hardest thing to paint.
Oh, yeah. Well, part of the problem there is that black on its own just goes flat.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the surface contour of the thing is. If you just paint it black, it's going to look like a flat blob of space.
And there's nothing you can do about that until you start going and highlighting it in a dark blue.
Right. Highlight it in a blue, highlight it in a green, highlight it in something that's not black.
Yeah.
Alrighty, you ready to finish up the base on your mini?
Yes, I'm very excited about that.
Excellent. Okay. Again, this is a very complicated process.
Is more gluing involved?
Yep.
Okay. I got this. I feel like I have...
We're going to use a different kind of glue, and we're going to apply it differently. We're going to use white glue, and what you're going to do is you're going to use a brush that you don't mind losing, but I happen to have one here.
Okay.
That you can use for this purpose. And what you're going to do is do not paint glue anywhere that you do not want grass.
Okay, got it.
Okay?
Okay. That I can do.
There you go.
Okay.
And just like a thin glaze, it doesn't have to be, thick.
Yeah, just water it down real good.
Yeah. We wanted blended turf for this, didn't we? Not the greeny turf. Okay, do you have the glue on it?
Almost. Talking about, they were like, "Does your mom during high school? Is that what made you become an elementary school teacher?" I was like, "Yep, first one in 3 generations of teachers to pick little kids." But I also really like little hugs from kids. It's really fun.
Well, yeah. Who doesn't like hugs
Little
from
kid
little kids?
hugs.
Yeah, well, they're so much the best when they're that age.
I know. Like everyone always talks about terrible twos. That is my favorite age.
Really?
Yeah, 3 is the
That's
worst.
my favorite age for not my kids.
Yeah.
They're fun when they're little. They're fun in a different way when they're teenagers.
Yeah.
They can be trying.
Absolutely.
I'm not a teacher, but I am a hockey coach.
Yes.
So there's a little certain corollary there. And my favorite age to coach is 13 and 14-year-olds.
Yeah.
Because they're all piss and vinegar, and they're just fun.
And they're starting to form their own opinions of things, and that's always so cute.
Yep. Okay, so have you got
There you
glue?
go. Yeah.
All right, now comes the hard part.
Okay.
What you're going to do is take it and dunk it into the grass so that the grass scoops up onto the base.
Okay. So I'm going to try and do this in front of the camera so you guys can see
Okay,
me.
don't want to let your glue get too dry, though.
Okay. So here's the thing. So dipping.
Don't worry about getting too much,
Okay. Because I can shake it off.
because we're going to shake it off.
Shake it off. Shake it off.
Oh.
So that's me. Oh, I'm all in the light so you guys can't see. So there, I put stuff on it.
Excellent. Okay, now shake the mini pretty good. Give it a good shake. And then look over it and see if you've got grass everywhere you want it.
Oops, probably shouldn't blow right into that.
I do the same thing every time.
Oh, that's just pretty cool. There's like one little barrier. Do I put more glue on it?
Yeah. Just put a little more glue on it, dunk it again.
Okay.
When you go back to put glue on it a second time, you don't want to brush, though. You kind of want to just dab it in place.
Yeah. That makes sense. Look how fancy she looks. Wow. That did like a whole bunch to make her look cool. Goodness.
Like I said, flocking is really hard.
Yeah.
It's super easy and adds such snap to a model.
It really does.
It really does.
Oops. That's awesome. See? Ta-da! She's got ground.
Okay, now
Amazing.
the only other thing you want to do now is I would take her and then spray her with a finish of whatever kind you like. I don't like the full gloss finish. I go with a flat finish myself.
That's what I've got.
But then I go back and I brush into places like metal and places where I want it to really pop. I'll put little spots of gloss
Oh, that's neat. That's like smart
back in.
technique. Yeah, because she's clear coated with flat. I forget the brand of it, but it was recommended by a streamer that I watch, and it's really amazing. I bought it on Amazon, but she's like super flat. I think that adding some gloss spots like on her sword and a couple of places would be very, very attractive.
Yeah, and that's one of the cool things about this set too is that there's gloss varnish in the tube that you can just put on there.
Cool. Here, we want to put this in the
Dab
water.
on it.
You can just put it in the water and leave it for a minute.
Oh, okay.
'Cause
Cool.
Because that brush doesn't matter.
that brush does not matter.
But just as a general rule, never leave your brush in the pot like that if you care about your brush, because
Right.
it will bend your bristles.
That would be.
And nobody
bad.
wants that.
No.
So, 2 cardinal rules of brushes: never get the paint all the way up to the little metal part,
Yep.
because it'll seep into the metal part, and then when it dries,
your
it'll
brush goes
expand. And yeah,
It poofs up like a cat in a static storm.
and then you'll never get that sharp edge that you
Cat
want,
in a static storm. That's nice.
and you
That's
never
good.
leave it
I
in the
like that.
pot.
Yep. One other thing about brushes, spend the money to buy good ones.
Yeah.
Look at that gloss coat. That's gonna be so pretty. Makes her sword and shiny.
Yep.
I always put a little bit of gloss on the skin too.
Oh yeah, oh, that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
just like in the highlight spots.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it gives it just gives it that little bit of pop.
Jib, what do you think? This is Zach from SD. What do you think of the satin finish from Citadel? I find it's the best for anything except skin or something meant to be shiny.
It works really well. I have some on the shelf right now. What I'm using right now, though, is made by a company called Army Painter. But it's chemically the same stuff.
Oh,
So
is it just cheaper?
probably 6 to 1/2 times. It's probably the case of that's what they had when I bought it.
Oh, okay.
When it comes to flat finishes, I just like the Testors matte flat. Straight Testors matte flat. It's the only Testors product I really use.
It's amazing, like how much of the mini painting is somewhat like applying makeup.
Oh yeah,
I'm like,
I could totally see that.
Contouring and some highlighting and
Exactly. You're using color to bring out shape.
right, exactly. It's kind of fun too, because like in many ways, mini painting is sort of like a mini cosplay. It's like, oh look,
Yeah,
a cosplay
totally.
I can totally finish in 2 days. It's a little outfit I can totally plan from the beginning.
But when you start doing conversions and that kind of stuff, where
Yeah.
I think a lot of the real fun is in these things, it's totally like that
Yeah.
because you're making an original thing at that point. You're not just sort of like applying paint to something else that
Right.
Yeah.
somebody else made. Because the new Caradon Overlords for Age of Sigmar came out, and they're basically steampunk dwarves on airships.
Nice.
And everything about Age of Sigmar at this point is so incredibly Flash Gordon to me, in that the world's sundered and now they're just little islands floating in the warp of different realms, sort of like
Interesting.
Ming's universe.
Yeah.
The Ming's vortex. So it has that, and everything is sort of like really sort of like gold and brass and bright colors and all this stuff. So what I'm doing is that since these dwarves actually have these guys with these ether jump packs that come in, I'm actually going to take a bunch of the Fire Slayer dwarves, which is sort of like the Mohawked, we wear no armor and rush into battle dwarves, and I'm going to convert them with some mechanical looking wings to make Hawkmen from Flash Gordon.
Cool.
So that's going to be my Hawkmen squad.
That's a great take. That's really cool.
Fly! Because I love that. Dive! God, I love that guy.
Well, how can you not love Brian Bliss?
He's just fantastic in here. Even when he's playing little bit roles in like Much Ado About Nothing or anything, he's still just fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at that. Okay, I love this gloss in some places thing.
Yep.
Super exciting.
And that's the cool thing about this is that you pick up little tips like that here and there, and you're doing your next model, and you can. And if I put like one of the first models I painted, and then just sort of splayed them out over the years and see like
Careful.
the massive improvement and also the different types of elements that you'll see in the model. I just love the learning process of it.
Right.
Constant growth.
Absolutely. Super fun. I mean, like any art form,
Yeah,
like, you're going to get better at it.
Exactly. Be quiet, you.
Yeah, the dogs are like, can we hang out with you guys? We want to come in.
Go there and lick Stu's head.
Yeah.
Make him feel better.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
All right. Look at that.
So we got
Exciting.
the blue on the shield there. And we're starting to
Sweet.
build up some different
Nice.
colors.
Oh, wow. That looks great.
That's getting a great finish. I like the kind of satiny look of the blue.
Yeah, it's a great shade, but the trick about it is making sure that that your paint is watery enough or thin enough to go in and have that sort of satin coverage, and you have to do a couple of coats when you have a really dark color behind it.
Right. More layers of light glaze is better than fewer layers of heavy glaze.
Absolutely.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because really, you want to put as little paint as you possibly can on the miniature to get the effect that you want. Because the more paint, the more glop, and the more glop, less detail. And you want all your detail. Because there's a sculptor out there that
Went through a lot of trouble to make all those little chainmail bits.
And having tried to just sculpt like bases and things,
Yeah.
that shit's a bitch to work
Hard
with.
as F. Green stuff is just, I don't even know how they do it sometimes. I experimented trying making some of my own cloaks, and it literally took me weeks to figure it out, what I had to do.
I do like bases and like I've sculpted skulls and things like that, and like features. Made some like miniature sized tankards out of green stuff that were fun, but that stuff is a.
It'll stick to everything but the thing you wanted to stick it to. It's just a pain in the ass.
Yep.
Cool. I don't know if you guys will be able to see on the camera, but this is my druid now with a little bit of pop from gloss on her armor, and then with the base. Yay!
Yay!
Colors are like crazy weird on that camera. Let me see if that's a little bit of high saturation there. That's okay though. Oops, that's great. I just dropped her. That's okay. I'm just tapping the rest of that junk off. That's what
You
that's.
just took 3d6 worth of falling
I
damage.
totally did. Do do do. All right. So she's gonna be here with her buddies for a while. She finishes drying.
Cool.
I made her hair pop. Putting that gloss on really made her hair pop a lot.
Yeah.
I like that. Because yeah, I didn't want to use like a gloss clear coat on her to finish her, because then I don't know, that just looks weird. But I like the kind of the mix. It's a great idea.
Yeah, I find that a model that's just universally glossy all the way through is kind of weird looking to me. I don't know. I've never really
Well,
caught
they just
into
look
that.
fake.
Yeah.
All right, so back to my Merry Wife mini. I'm gonna layer on a little bit more white. The chat room's arguing about history.
What about it?
Something about the French and Indian War. I think they're arguing about France and Quebec.
Quebec.
Quebec. I'm not sure. I've been actually painting minis, so I kind of lost part of the conversation there. There we go.
Well, you know, everything always devolves into a conversation
does.
about the French Indian War.
Right? That happens all the time.
It happens all the time.
I mean, that's where every conversation I ever have ends up.
Right?
I think my lamp ran out of juice.
Uh-oh. Yeah, mine's getting kind of dim.
They may
have
they
no
may
lamp
turn off
juice.
after time too.
Yeah, that's true. It's also like touch, so if you... We got new little lights, so... Working on all the little details. Excited to try and stream again at Strategicon in a couple weeks.
Ugh.
Should be
Man.
fun.
I just hope that your bandwidth needs are met.
I think it will be. It worked last time. We didn't even know. We were just like, oh, we'll try it, because we weren't actually planning on it, and then it worked. So then we kind of had to, like,
Didn't you guys
Wing
lose a
it.
recording?
that was the audio, though.
Oh,
Everything
okay.
else was fine. But that was actually a technical problem on our half. Like,
Because if that entire jizz whale thing gets lost to the ether, I'm gonna cry because I don't remember laughing so hard.
yeah. No, it's still on the YouTubes.
Oh, okay, good.
And
You
the
weren't
video
there.
evidence is there. But yeah, it was just the audio recording that isn't there. So how do we preserve the basing? It would seem pretty easy to wipe that grass off accidentally.
That's why you actually do your spray finish after you do your flocking.
Okay, so like a clear coat.
Yeah.
Cool. That makes sense.
Not only that, but that thin down white glue takes a minute to dry too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that brings me to another thing. about transporting your minis, because painted minis really do not like padding.
They're not
Because
being rubbed.
They vibrate against the padding, and the padding rubs against them, and that
we
makes
back
them
at
unhappy.
dildos again? How did we get back there?
No, you took it back there.
Oh, okay, sorry. Talking about rubbing and vibrations, so where did you expect that to go there, Jib?
I got nothing.
Okay.
Hey, man, you talk about what you want to talk about.
You do you, Kim.
Yeah, you do
Wait,
you, Kim.
that's what we were just talking
Bringing it back around. Bringing it back around. He's going to
So-
panic now for the next couple minutes, trying to say everything to make it not sound like dildos.
No, and I don't know if we can really get this on camera all that well. When I was living back east and I was flying back and forth to cons, I needed a way to transport minis without them getting battered around by vibration.
Right.
And what I came up with was I put a magnet inside the base of the mini, and I took this. This is just an embroiderer's box,
Nifty.
and I glued fender washers into the ends of the cells and just stick them in place.
Yep.
And they don't flop around, they don't move, and
I did something very, very similar to that.
That's so cool. Wait, here, let's show on the camera a little bit better. Sure. So, let's see. So that you can see the little washers. Do you have minis we could show?
yeah, you just take them and go like that.
Ooh, look how pretty.
Yep.
So now you've got the little magnet guy. He pops out.
And just about any hobby place, you'll find like really good rare earth magnets in a big old pile, and they'll stick on there really good.
You can also order them on Amazon.
Yeah.
So then it's like, ta-da.
What I did is I took something like that, but it didn't have the bins in it. It was just completely flat and much larger. And I cut a piece of sheet metal to fit into it and glued that
Oh,
down.
nice.
Yeah.
But then over that, what I did is I took the guy from Game On Minis that shows up at con all the time. He does the MDF, laser cut MDF.
Yeah.
And so basically for $15, he did an entire sheet of MDF that had the circles for the actual base sizes cut into the
Cool.
thing, and then I glued that on top of the metal sheet, so now they fit perfectly
Right onto it.
and,
Nice.
and they do not move at all.
Very cool.
Cool.
Very cool. Because having gone to this much effort to paint a Happy Mini, you don't want it to get all, battered up.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, transport is one of the worst enemies of miniatures, but unless you're playing every game like right where you keep your miniatures, you sort of have to move them around.
Yep.
And a lot of people spend a lot of money on those army transport foam cases,
That's what I've seen. Yeah, I was just actually looking at some of those the other day.
and they're neat. I actually bought one for my X-wing miniatures because I didn't paint them.
Okay.
And the cool thing about them is that they custom laser cut the foam to fit the exact size of the model, so they don't really shake around too much in there. But that is the super expensive solution,
Right.
because you're literally spending $300 just on the carrying case for your army.
Wow. That's
Depending on the
Yep.
size of army you got, of course.
yeah.
That's a lot.
That doesn't seem like a cheap hobby.
No, you can, in a real quick hurry, spend a shit ton of money on X-Wing miniatures.
I can go to Game Empire tomorrow and spend $1,500 easy.
Oh, yeah. Because, at $1,500, you bought 10 minis.
Yeah.
Or no, you bought 100 minis at $1,500.
$1,500 is, if you want to put together a 2,000-point army for just about anything, that's pretty much what you're spending.
Yep.
It's crazy. Yeah, I have a couple friends who play that game, and it's literally just like, it went so badly, I don't know what happened. I went to the store, I was going to buy one thing, and now I'm broke. And it's like, wow. I don't have any rent money, but I have lots of
I
X-Wings.
have lots of X-Wing minis.
Yeah.
I ended up
So you can
selling
always
my
challenge your
X-Wings.
landlord to an X-Wing
Tournaments.
tournament,
If you can beat my TIE Defender.
Watch, and then they turned out like they're an expert and they have it.
Yeah, right. So
You're like, oh, damn it.
Yeah, but then they probably won't throw you out because they finally have someone they
Someone
can
to
play
play
with.
with. That's true. This is a good plan.
I'm trying to decide what to do with his pants.
Dildo?
Yes. Bringing it back around.
And there we went again.
And scene.
Can do stripes,
Mm-hmm. You could.
but I'm thinking something different. I just don't know what yet. The trick with stripes is that you have to
Follow the
follow the
contour.
contour of the thing.
Mm-hmm. They can't just be straight.
Right.
Very little details in here that I have to paint. Holding your
Bloop,
breath.
Boopity boop.
Polka dots.
Polka dots would be fun.
I don't know if it's...
This mini just cracks me up because he looks so excited and so
Yeah.
happy,
Yeah, he does. And he's got like a crazy chain.
and he's got
weapon.
heads.
Oh. Here, show on the thing.
He looks very happy,
And then flip him over, and he's got heads
and
on
he's
his
got heads on his belt.
Yeah.
I had myself a baby bumblebee.
Let's see if I can get closer on.
Sure. You see a lot of barbarians, but how many people are so committed to their barbarism that it makes them so truly happy? Really?
Well, if you're going to embark on a line of work, you really should do something that's going to make you happy.
I've never worked a day in my life. I slay all day long.
I love slaying.
I love slaying. Oh, really? Yeah, I love going out in the snow. It's like, not that kind of slaying, you dolt. Oh, I thought you were talking about Christmas, everybody's happy.
Decisions.
Let me see. Oh, yeah, I'm just trying.
I bought some of those new technical paints that GW came out to do the gems. Have you tried those, Jib?
I have not.
Dude, they're freaking fantastic. I would literally spend 10, 20 minutes doing one gem just to
Yeah.
get it right. This thing, you're like, swoosh, you're done. It's amazing.
Sweet. I'm going to try that. What I normally do to do gems is I'll paint them white underneath, and then do like a swirl of shade along one side where I want them to have a shadow,
Right.
and I'll just like dot them with the right color of ink,
Yeah.
and like boop.
But the way that it works is that because of the way that the paint settles, because it's almost like a wash, you basically just put it on the bottom and you swoosh it around, and you take the ink and you just drag it towards the top, and it automatically creates that gradient effect, and then you just put a little dot of light on top, you're done.
Sweet.
So cool. What really gets my goat is the people that are like pro painters that get all pissed off at these new products that they come out with to make painting easier. They're like, I'm the good painter, and I've spent all this time learning how to do this, and then you come over here, you come with your little paint, and any bozo can come and do it.
Well,
I have a problem with those guys. I think that's stupid. Oh, so this hobby that you say that you love is now more accessible to more people? That's a horrible thing, man.
Well, people like being special.
well, you can still see the difference between
Absolutely.
what I've done with my little dopey little method for doing eyes, for example, which looks good from the tabletop, but compare it with the guys who paint for Reaper
Yeah.
for money, and there's no contest.
But that's also like, like you also paint it specifically that way for a reason.
True.
Because like we were saying earlier, like you paint it to be seen from far away. Or 3 feet away, which for a tiny thing like this is far away.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to have like an episode where we like work on eyes because I do okay with them. I think I do pretty well considering, but...
To me, the secret of eyes is to not be worried about being sloppy and then just cleaning up afterwards.
Yeah.
Because if you just try to do it just perfect like that,
It's not gonna
it's
happen.
just so hard.
My trick to doing eyes is I do them first.
Oh, that's a good.
And
idea.
then what Jim was just saying about, if they're sloppy, that's fine. I'm going to be going over that area anyway.
That makes sense.
I do eyes before I do skin.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because then I use the skin to cover up whatever mistakes I made in the eyes.
Right. And for some reason, I don't know why, it's just a thing with me, I always do the faces first.
Yeah, we've got to figure out something with the cameras. I think I'll get a different stand for this one right here where the minis are, and then it'll be closer. I have some other stands I use for my cosplay stuff when I stream cosplay stuff. That short stand. So then we'd be able to literally set it on the edge here, so we'd be able to not be holding it. I think that'll be the next improvement on our mini painting stream.
You know what? You may think about getting a light box.
Yeah, that might work. Something simple. But yeah.
That's the other cool thing about that fan blower airbrush thing. It works like a light box because it has
that's
little
cool.
LED lights on it
Yeah.
too.
They actually, I think if it was shorter, it would actually show these pretty well. These are the colors coming up. I want to get like black velvet, I think, to put over it, so there's no glare. But considering how many painting looked last time, this is a massive improvement. So I'm pretty pleased with us. Go us, we rock!
Yay!
Yay! Everyone's like, well, I wasn't there last time. I don't care. We do have to start wrapping it up in just a few minutes, gentlemen.
But I'm painting.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, I actually have to drive home and then get up at 5:30 to go to work.
Yup. We had a open house tonight at my school.
Oh boy.
It's very exciting.
Yeah. I'm really seriously considering maybe spending the night over at my mom's house
Oh, that's a good idea.
because she lives right around the corner from here. Since the wife is away visiting her mom for her birthday, I really don't have anybody to go home to. Other than some yowling cats. Yay.
Explaining in chat, we have our new, we have a couple new rank systems in the chat room. So we have beers, which are our currency. So you earn beers by watching. You can gamble them and win more or lose them. You can spend the beers to get cool things, like you can order a set of the host business cards, and we'll mail them out to you. You can also like have us, take a drink for you, all that stuff. But we have now different levels in the chat room that are there that you can then get your rank get a higher rank, but it's just based on stream time and participation in chat. So you can't lose it if you gamble, like the beers you gamble and have fun with those. But this way it's like you got rank that you don't have to worry about losing when you gamble or whatever.
That's cool.
Increase your gamer status.
Yep, exactly.
Game of status.
Come on!
Get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper. You can do it. I believe in you.
There we go. All right. think it's time to start with the cleaning up. Always the least fun part of any of these projects.
But any hobby, really.
Really, yeah. So will this be okay in my mini case for until I get home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if you spray her again,
Mm-hmm.
you'll lose the gloss that you put on it.
That's true.
But that's okay. You can put it back on.
Right,
next
I'm
time.
back on it. Okay. I have this little bit saved in my little thingy too, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Yay, liberators.
Yay!
And there was great rejoicing. It's only a molding.
Oh, now where did I put that thing?
Let's see. These little lights turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
That'll do.
That'll do, pig. That'll do. All right. Look at this. I hope you guys had fun. This is
I had a great
exciting.
time.
Yeah.
A,
It's always-
you guys are super fun to hang out with.
Thank you.
B, I got some work done that I probably wouldn't have gotten done otherwise.
Right?
I think it's always more fun to do something artsy or crafty with people.
Mm-hmm.
I agree 100%. Where Tim, Paul, Mike, and I get together just about every other weekend up at Tim's house in Santa Monica, and we just paint minis and,
Mm-hmm.
and assemble stuff and play role-playing games.
That's always fun.
That is the funnest.
We never play role-playing games. We're against it in all things.
Yeah, it's not like we're going to be back here on Sunday.
Role-playing games. Grow up, you loser.
Right? Oh, man. I am a little tired this week, though. I have to admit, like, there's a lot of gaming that happened this last weekend, and I'm a little tired.
A little worn out.
Yeah. We did a long day of streaming on Saturday, and then we did Sunday, and then we did all the things. I don't know where that thing is. Forget it.
Well, it probably would have been a little less tiresome if you hadn't played every one of the games.
That's, yeah.
And at the same time been running the stream and,
All the things.
you know.
Yeah, oh my god, it was so funny. We were playing Tomorrow Legion on Monday night, and I kept forgetting what character I was. Like, I was like, wait, no, I'm
That's
Southern.
That's
Wait.
tired.
Wait, who am
I'm supposed to have a Southern accent.
Who am I today?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of remember the character, but I was like, oh my god.
Character voice Nazi.
Yeah, well, it's sort of like, I have a very pronounced, oh no, camera malfunction. We turn that this way. Better. Good. It was like, okay, because usually I have like a big southern drawl with that character, and every once in a while I'd start speaking like this, like I was my elf, and it's like, okay, wait, sorry, back to, pretend like I said that, like I was from Texas. Just pretend. It'll be fine.
All we're doing is pretending.
Yeah. Luckily, they're pretty good about that.
Luckily, they're good about pretending.
The chat room kind of kept reminding me, too, like, aren't you supposed to be from Texas? Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Texas.
Right. I know that. But it's all good. And so, of course, I planned another show this week. Added mini painting. Because, you know.
Yeah, why not? 'Cause
Why not? All right.
Because you're relentlessly pursuing the hobby.
RPG hobby with reckless abandon and wine and cider. It doesn't have the same ring to it, but it's true.
Well, wine and cider does help with recklessness.
Yes, it's true.
And abandoned.
All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. I think we are wrapping up. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Come to our forums, happyjacks.org/forum, if you want to chat more, if you have questions about mini painting, or if you just want to talk with other gamers or find a game, or if you just want to let us know what you thought of tonight's show, any ways we can improve it. We would love some feedbacks. Tune in on Friday night for our regular Happy Jacks RPG podcast. And Sunday we're playing Desert of Despair, our D&D 5e game, right here, 5 p.m. BDAT. And Monday we are back with masks. So just us, hashtag heroes. And
Because we are too just for you.
Too just for you. Just. Yeah, so lots of fun, and we will talk with you later. Bye, guys. Have a good night.
I just feel bad about poor Stu.
I do too.
So mad at me.
I'm in Max. You are listening to Happy Jacks RPG Podcast. I'm in Max. Pursuing the RPG hobby with reckless abandon.
Wrong button. That's fine. We actually had like 20 people that whole time.
Oh, wow. That's not bad. Cool. This was your second time out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys already have sort of like a filter following too, so.
Yeah, but 20 for mini paintings, actually, like, impressive.
For mini painting and bullshitting, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, I was super
Why
surprised.
you guys want to listen to us bullshit? I
Yeah.
don't know. But I
Oh,
can't
hey
figure out why they
there.
wanna listen
Mics
to
are
me.
still on.